Hi, I'm Nikki.
And I'm Megan.
Welcome to the Grimdark Diaries.
We're your geek gal pals obsessed with true crime and all things dark and disturbing.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Grimdark Diaries. We just did our first live show and it was magical, and I'm hoping that lots of the people tuning into this episode have found us because they attended that live show and they absolutely loved it because everybody loved it, and I'm just gonna assume that because that's what it sounded like from everybody's feedback. So thank you to everybody that came to our show, and thank you if you are now joining us from our HalCon live show.
Thank you.
Yeah, the feedback was really great. Everyone seemed to have fun, and there was some laughs, and I feel like we had a good solid story. How did you feel, Megan?
Oh yeah, it was great. It was a good story. You did a really good job putting that together, Nikki.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I feel like I had a great experience with the audience when I couldn't roll a die worth my life, and had a wonderful audience member come up and give me their D20, which was super nice. And then I actually started rolling well, so that was great. Thank you very much to you, audience member. Very happy that you were there to save the day.
Yeah, Megan definitely had a cursed die, and she was not able to get all of her information to solve the crime case. She was rolling low. Her perception was low.
Very much so.
Well, we are in the final stage of our spooky season. Although for me, I feel like I just want it to be spooky all year round. So since this is our last spooky season episode, I wanted to do something that genuinely scares me. So we are going to be talking about haunted house attractions.
Okay.
As in the ones that people organize and sell tickets to, not ones inhabited by actual ghosts, because those actually don't terrify me.
That's actually what I thought you were talking about anyway.
No, real haunted houses I'm cool with.
No,
haunted
I meant the haunted attraction that people sell tickets for and pay.
Yes.
To go see. That's the one I thought you were talking about.
Those are what scare me more than houses with ghosts.
Because of the jump scares?
Just because of everything involved.
Oh. Okay.
Just like everything to do with haunted houses, I am not a fan.
Okay.
There are a lot of crimes that go down at these haunted houses. I didn't want to go to them before, and after doing my research, I sure as heck don't want to go to them now. So first, I collected just a bunch of different crimes that happened at haunted houses, and then we're going to look at some extreme haunts, which if you don't know what that is, oh wow, do I have a treat for you on like a whole other world that is just not a world that I want to be a part of.
I'm excited to hear what those are.
That was just so monotone.
Oh, sorry.
So haunted houses have become pretty much a full-on industry worth billions of dollars. They're even haunted house cons. They call them trade shows, but you and I both know, Megan, that they're just cons like we go to.
What do you mean? Like a Comic-Con?
Yeah, so they have haunted house conventions, trade shows.
I didn't know that.
So there'd be different vendors and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
People selling, different things that you could put in a haunted house. So props or special effects or not haunted, but like horror makeup people. And then they would have panels and seminars on how to do stuff in your haunted house, how to build things, how to improve stuff, how to get scares. Like,
that's interesting.
Yeah. So just like any con, like how there's, pod cons that are about podcasts, or there's crime con, which is all about true crime stuff, there is haunted house cons. Now to the crime. This year, 2021, on September 18th, an 11-year-old boy and his family were visiting the 7 Floors of Hell horror attraction in Ohio. The boy was getting ready to go through the haunted house, so he hadn't even started going through it yet, when one of the actors had a Bowie knife and was trying to scare him. The actor went right up to the young boy, and this boy was far braver than I am. He was only 11, and he told the actor, "That's fake. I'm not scared." So then the actor, wanting to get a scare out of him, started dragging the knife on the ground and stabbing it into the ground. He then hit the boy's Croc sandal, and the knife cut right into his toe.
Oh.
Yes.
The real knife.
It was a real knife.
Oh my gosh.
They bandaged his toe, and then the kid and his mom wanted to finish the horror house before seeking any more medical attention. The manager upgraded their tickets because, that makes up for getting stabbed in the foot.
Might save a liability lawsuit, I guess.
So they got their new VIP tickets and they went through all of the haunted house things. And the manager said that they told him afterwards that they had a really great time, despite being stabbed.
They still went through?
They still went through the whole thing.
So
they wanted to still do the haunted house.
Toe, like would they put a Band-Aid on it? I don't understand.
Yes. They had like a little first aid area.
Oh, okay.
So they disinfected it and then they wrapped his foot up in a bandage because he wanted to finish the haunted house.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, if I got stabbed in a haunted house, I'm telling you what, I'm not sticking around. No, if I got stabbed before I even entered it, I don't want to know what's inside.
Right. If it could be worse than that. Is the chainsaw real or...
Yeah.
What other things do you have that are real in there?
Right? 7 Floors of Hell does enforce a strict rules and protocols which do not allow their scare actors to carry any real weapons, only rubber or foam props. So they ended up firing that actor because he brought his own knife from home.
That's fair.
The 22-year-old actor was charged with negligent assault. All reports say he was very apologetic after stabbing the boy, and he stayed with him while they were cleaning the slice into his toe, and he was like helping him take his shoe off and stuff.
Well, I guess at least he didn't mean it.
No.
I don't know why you would still bring a real knife. That's so dangerous.
Yeah. I don't know. Everything I read, it just sounded too chill. Like everybody was like, "Oh, it's fine." They had a great time afterwards. Yeah, like they just stayed there. This actor was like sitting with him, helping him. If my child got stabbed by somebody, I'd be like, "No, you need to call the police, and the police need to take this person away."
Yeah.
In October of 2018, a group of friends were visiting the Nashville Nightmare Haunted House. It's apparently like a full-on little Halloween carnival. It has 4 separate haunted houses, a Halloween escape room. It has carnival games. It has food vendors. I feel like if I was ever going to go to a haunted house, it would be something like this. And I would stay at the carnival games and food vendors. After exploring the haunted house, James J. I think his name is Yoakum. I don't know. Yoakum? We're going to go with Yoakum. I'm going to call him Jay. Jay and his friends, he was in a group of friends. They were going through and they came across a man who they assumed was an employee because they were dressed in a costume and the attraction was filled with staff members, different actors and stuff in scary costumes. So they just assumed that this was another one of the actors. The man then handed Jay's friend, Tanya Greenfield, a knife and told her to stab Jay. Before they got to that part of the haunted house, they had seen lots of actors with lots of weapons, and they were even chased with those fake chainsaws, the ones that, you know, they look real and they run like a real chainsaw, but they don't have any blades on them or anything. Mm-hmm. So Tanya assumed this knife was also a prop. So she took the knife and did what the guy said and stabbed it into her friend's arm.
Oh my gosh.
And when she did it, she was like, haha, gotcha. Very quickly after she stabbed what she thought was a fake knife, she in fact realized it was not a prop. His arm started gushing blood, and the group described it as something straight out of a horror movie because they're in this haunted house, which is already terrifying and dark, and, you know, they're in that kind of environment, and then she stabs her friend and blood is gushing out of his arm.
Sorry she didn't check the knife first. I just feel like I would always be cautious of that regardless of where I was.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Because even if it's a prop, it probably looked real enough.
Yeah. I feel like when you hold a toy base or a prop, it's a lot lighter than the real thing. Right. You'd be able to tell if you were holding a metal knife.
I honestly feel like that's why I'm surprised that she wouldn't have at least checked it first. But I guess when you're in the moment and in that environment, you might not even think about that kind of thing.
Yeah. We had a really cool toy knife thing when we were kids. I think my mom got it from her store. And it looked like a little dagger, and it was like a trick blade. So when you pushed it against something, the blade went into the little hilt. Yeah. So it looked like you were stabbing someone. But I mean, the blade was very shiny silver metal, and it made like a noise every time the blade went in because you could hear the little spring going.
Like a shink.
Yeah, but we thought it was really cool. We thought we were pulling tricks with it.
Mm-hmm, of course.
Jay was taken to Skyline Hospital, where they treated him for his stab injuries. The knife luckily didn't hit any major arteries, so he ended up just needing to have stitches to close up the wound. It wasn't clear if the guy that handed Tanya the knife was working at the haunted house, but after Jay was stabbed, the guy apologized and said, "I didn't know my knife was that sharp."
But it was real, so
that's
it had the potential to puncture.
Yeah.
Skin, so
even if
sharp or not.
No. If you hit somebody with a dull knife, that's gonna hurt too. Some reports said that the guy with the knife was an employee, but the official statement the haunted house released said that he was a patron, and also said that they have a robust safety and security protocol in place, including metal detectors and on-site medical and security staff, and that they are now going over all of their safety protocols and they're reviewing everything with their staff again. Clearly they don't have a metal detector, or they didn't use it or something, because he was in there with a knife.
Right, exactly.
Nashville Metro Police decided not to investigate the incident because it had been ruled an accidental stabbing.
Maybe on her part.
Well, that's the thing. She's the one that did it. So what would you charge that guy with? Handing somebody I'm sure you could probably find something, but
I guess if they're not getting anything out of him.
In September of 2017, a 21-year-old man named Chung visited the Halloween-themed festival at Ocean Park in Hong Kong. He was going into a spooky maze called Buried Alive. After about 5 minutes, once he entered the haunted house, park attendants went inside and they found him unconscious. He accidentally wandered into an area that was supposed to be off limits to visitors, but it wasn't blocked off or anything. Like, it was accessible once you were in there.
Mm-hmm.
It was an area for some mechanical things that were for the machinery inside the haunted house. He ended up being struck by one of the mechanical parts, and that knocked him down unconscious. An ambulance rushed to the park, but they were unable to save him, and he was declared dead at the hospital. To make this more gruesome, it was discovered he was actually hit by a coffin.
What?
It was part of a ride that required visitors to enter via a slide, and it was on like a mechanical arm thing, and then it was swinging into this restricted area, and it hit him.
Wow.
They ended up shutting down the haunted house, and they got criticized heavily because I guess that restricted area just wasn't really shut off from visitors, but obviously a dangerous area. It should have been completely blocked off.
Yeah.
I feel like that would just be an awful way to go. Your last moment, you get struck by a coffin.
Yeah. He probably didn't even see it coming.
This next one technically happened outside of a haunted house, but I am still counting it. Thousands of people visited the Nightmare at Floydville Road. The Nightmare at Floydville Road. That's kind of a lame name. On October 24th in 1997. The haunted house was raising money for local emergency shelters, so they were super busy all night. A lot of people noticed one particular actor right outside the haunted house on the side of the road. She was described as a bloodied woman reaching up from a prone position. And lots of people went by and they noticed her there. And visitors to the haunted house thought she was just kind of part of the creepy decor with all of the actors and stuff and their costumes and their makeup.
Mm-hmm.
But she was actually the victim of a hit and run accident and was lying on the side of the road, slowly dying, unable to call for help as she watched all of these thousands of patrons going into the haunted house.
Oh. Wow, that's horrible.
Yeah. And like a ton of people saw her, obviously. And they said that they just, everything was decked out for Halloween and they just assumed that she was part of the decor.
Yeah, like why would you assume otherwise?
Right? It's
what
not
about
like...
the people that worked there, though? They would know that she wasn't a part of it.
Well, I guess because the whole haunted house was kind of contained inside. And so, everyone just thought she was part of it.
Outside?
No, it was all, you had to go inside the house.
Oh.
Because it was on the side of the road outside.
Well, I just mean like the people working there letting people in or something.
I think you had to go inside of the building.
Oh.
Where it was, yeah. Because there was no workers that saw her.
Wow.
After an investigation, 54-year-old Bruce Impt was arrested and charged. Earlier in the night, he had been at a local bar where he had 2 scotches and some cheese and crackers before he left for home around 6:30 p.m. He claims he didn't see anyone walking, but he heard a large thud on his side mirror when he was going by the haunted house. He claims he didn't go to police because he thought that someone had thrown a brick at his car when he was driving by.
A brick?
Yeah, that was his story.
It's a bit excessive. If that's what it sounded like, you should have stopped your car.
Yeah. And so police ended up finding pieces of the mirror and paint chips and stuff, which narrowed down the make and model of the vehicle. And then they were looking for a vehicle going into auto body shops to get repairs that matched that. And Bruce actually was going to take his vehicle to a place out of town, which is super sketchy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, when the information was released about the hit and run, Bruce did turn himself in a day later.
Oh, that's good.
It is good that he eventually turned himself in. I feel like he knew what happened based on stuff. Like his wife even kind of like threw him under the bus a little.
Yeah.
And like as soon as he came home, there was damage to the car, and she was like, "Oh, like that wasn't a brick." And he's like, "It was just a brick." And then she said that like he put the car in their garage, which like I don't think he normally did.
Interesting.
And stuff like that. And then she told him to take it to like their normal auto body shop, but he took it, or he was going to take it to one outside of town and stuff.
Ugh, yeah, he definitely knew. He was probably scared because he'd been drinking or something.
Yeah. But I mean, he did turn himself in, and he was arrested and charged.
With her murder, right?
Yeah, with hit and run.
She actually passed away?
She died, yep.
Oh, that's awful.
This next one happened in 2016 on Halloween night in Chunky, Mississippi.
Chunky?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a small town in the crook of Chunky River. There was a Halloween hayride where kids and their parents would dress in costume, and they would get in the back of a hay-lined flatbed truck towed by a Jeep. Tragedy struck when a Ford F-150 truck driving down the same highway rear-ended the trailer during the hayride. 2 adults and 1 child were killed from the crash, and 7 others suffered life-threatening injuries.
Wow.
Yeah, that one, it was a super small town. I read it was like, the town was only like, I think they said like 600 people or something.
Jeez.
Yeah, and I don't know I think it was a lady driving the truck. I don't know if she was charged or what happened. I also don't know how she rear-ended them on like a highway.
Unless they were trying to slow down for something and she just didn't notice.
Yeah.
That's really tragic.
There was another tragic death during a Halloween haunted hayride in 1990 in Lakewood, New Jersey. During the ride, about 40 people sit in a hay-filled wagon drawn by a tractor, which takes them past a number of Halloween fright exhibits. I feel like this would be like more my speed. Like I'm in this, I'm in a wagon. I'm not walking through a house. I'm surrounded by 40 or 39 people.
Fair, but I don't know what you're about to say next, so I can't agree or deny this one.
I mean, something went wrong, but that doesn't normally happen. The hayride was running every night in October with no issues, until one night, one of the actors had an equipment malfunction. 17-year-old Brian Jewell would normally pretend to hang from a gallows. He was supposed to stand on a platform with a noose around his neck and step onto the ground with 1 foot, but the noose isn't supposed to tighten. But on this night, the tractor driver was pulling up to his attraction, and he started to get worried because normally Brian gives a little spooky speech when the wagon pulls up. Like all the actors had a little, thing to say to try and scare the people.
Yeah.
And Brian wasn't giving his speech like he normally does. That's when they realized that the noose had actually tightened.
Oh my gosh.
And he had hanged himself at the gallows.
Oh my gosh, he was dead?
He was dead.
Oh.
He was hanging from the gallows.
Oh,
dead.
That's so awful. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I can't imagine being, because that hayride's probably filled with kids and parents.
Yeah.
And
wow.
The next story takes place in Utica, Kansas. Parents and school officials had started to worry that teens might start to get injured from aggressive hazing initiation traditions that the senior class started doing to the freshmen. I don't know what they were doing, but that sounds awful.
That sounds pretty normal, to be honest.
Really?
Hazing?
Yeah.
Is very normal.
In a high school?
Yes.
Really?
Hazing, it's just bullying, basically.
I don't think there was that in my high school.
Oh, well, I mean, you probably
I didn't have a lot of friends.
High school like
I went to the biggest high school in Nova Scotia because it is a composite high school.
I don't know what that means.
It means that you could get your university diploma and you could also get a certificate in cosmetology or mechanics or...
In your high school?
Yep. So you could take, you could walk out of there with like a mechanical certificate or a cosmetology certificate while you're doing your high school.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and we would get like people that already graduated would come and just take those programs, but you could work that into your course.
Oh.
Yeah. And it was free.
Never heard of that before.
Yeah. It was cool. So my high school had like 2,000 people in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like the size of the entire town that I grew up in. I think my school had maybe 500 students, and I graduated with a class of 45 people. So
yeah, I feel like that's standard for Nova Scotia.
Yeah, maybe. Super small.
There's sirens outside.
Oh,
spooky.
Yeah, like I didn't hear them at first, but I did after you said it.
Sounds like a fire truck. There's a fire.
Run. Oh, it's probably not you.
I sure hope not. I own a house now. I'm very concerned with things like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Watch out for your neighbors too, if they're too close.
Oh, God. One of the houses is attached with a brick umbilical cord.
That's right. Gross. I don't know why that's gross.
It's the best way to describe it, though. We have like a brick Siamese twin connection.
It was the umbilical cord that you said. That was really
it's our brick umbilical cord
appealing
to our neighbors. I remember in university, I didn't get hazed, but I was on the dance team, and they would do I guess you could call it hazing. They would have once they made the new team, they would have a little party, but they made all the new people drink a lot. But it wasn't they weren't being mean to us. They were very nice girls. We were all friends.
I was gonna say hazing would be dumping you in the pool or dumping you in the garbage can or making you do something super embarrassing.
They did make us put on costumes, but it was an in good fun thing. I had on a children's vampire costume and it was funny. It wasn't mean at all.
Right.
Yeah, but I was also 18 and they were feeding me a lot of alcohol, and then they were supposed to go to a party and they ended up having to take me home to my dorm room because
they took you home.
It was really nice. They took me home, and I remember the girl, I won't say who it was. But I remember it was one of the senior girls on the team. She took me home, and I felt bad because I was drunk and I was the only one that had to be taken home. And she was don't worry about it. And she's I'm of age, and last weekend I got so drunk I peed myself at a party in front of everybody. I was oh, well, I feel better. Yeah.
Oh man, to be that young again.
Yeah, I felt better.
That's good. At least you didn't get sick on her shoes or something.
No. And I don't know if I got sick. Maybe I just went home and went to bed. I can't remember. University is a blur.
I wonder why.
It wasn't from all the drinking.
Absolutely not.
It was because I was just working so hard all the time.
Yeah, right.
Hey, I did work very hard. I had a 3.8 GPA.
Yes, I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that means doesn't do you any good in the real world.
Well, not when you don't go for your dreams.
Yeah, but no job is what was your GPA with this degree? Nobody gives a care.
Yeah, that's fair.
So back to this high school where they were hazing freshmen.
Right.
Mrs. Betty Stevens, an English teacher and sponsor of this year's senior class, decided to try something different to try and keep the teens busy. She wanted to start a haunted house and have the seniors kind of lead the freshmen through it. The principal, William Hobart Sally, got super into this idea, and he thought the kids might get a kick out of finding him, at a part in the haunted house looking kind of creepy. Mrs. Stevens and her senior students took over an abandoned farmhouse 2 miles outside of the town and started decorating with paper mache skulls. They had old steer bones. They got toy rattlesnakes, just all kinds of spooky decor. Did you watch the What We Do in the Shadows TV show?
I watched a few of the episodes with you guys, yeah.
Anytime I hear people talking about Halloween or spooky decor, I always think of when Nandor's at the store and he's buying creepy paper. Did you see that one?
I don't think so, no.
He's buying crepe paper, but when he's looking at it, he's like, look, they sell crepey paper.
It's a pretty funny show.
So the principal decided to put on black grease paint, and he smeared ketchup on his face and his clothes. He then wanted to suspend himself by putting a rope beneath his arms from the kitchen ceiling. His feet touched a floor that was covered with broken bottles, burlap sacks, and fire chains.
What the hell are fire chains?
I don't know. That's what the article said, and I have no idea what fire chains are.
I'm going to look it up. So I want to know.
I'm picturing like how Ghost Rider has like a flaming skull head. I'm picturing metal chains that are aflame.
I don't think that's...
I don't think it's that, but in my head, it's like a creepy old kitchen that's all broken down and filled with broken glass and then just chains on fire.
I don't know. I'm not even...
Maybe the article mistyped, but it was two articles.
There's a whole bunch of different kinds of fire chains, but like from video games, this is like renegade juggling, lightweight, heat-resistant stainless steel twisted link. It could be just...
So fire-resistant chains.
That's
so
what it
the
sounds
opposite of what I'm picturing.
You keep going with your vision there, Nikki.
Yeah, this is my vision.
Yeah.
So he's in there. It's creepy. There's chains everywhere. They're on fire. I imagine them kind of moving like snakes too. Join me in my vision.
Moving like snakes?
Yeah, like they're kind of like, I don't know.
Slithering around?
Like, yeah, like kind of like slithering on the floor. And they're like big, heavy chains too. Like not like a little bike chain. Like these are like those kind of meaty chains. One by one, the seniors led the freshmen through the dark house. They just had flashlights, and all they could hear was groans and moans and rattling chains. Rattling fire chains. Very spooky. When they would get to the kitchen, they'd flash a light on the terrifying display of their principal as he hung limp from the rope, and some could hear him moaning softly. All the freshmen agreed that he was definitely the biggest scare in the whole haunted house. Midway through the night, Mrs. Stevens went into the kitchen with her camera to get a picture of the principal, all decked out. She called to him, and there was no answer. She turned on her flashlight. Somehow, as he had moved his feet on the messy floor, the principal had slipped. The noose had worked up from his armpits to his neck.
What?
And he died of strangulation.
No way.
Yes.
How? How does that happen? Your arms would have to go... I guess if you slip and fall, your arms go up naturally.
Yeah, but then you think it would go right over your head.
You'd think, yeah.
I don't know.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's very sad.
Yeah, and some people said when they went in, he was like moaning, which means he was alive for part of it.
Oh.
But they thought that he was just like putting on, being like an actor like everybody else was in it.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't
So
even imagine.
So super dangerous.
Yeah, all these things are the reasons why I don't want to go to a haunted house.
Have you ever been to a haunted house?
Yes, I have. And it was very scary. And the last time I went to one, I was of an age where like I probably shouldn't have been as scared as I was. I was in school, so I don't know. I feel like
that is not fair because you can be scared of haunted houses at any age.
But I feel like I was the only one that was scared, and the school made us go to it. Oh. The whole school got on a bus and went to a haunted house, and I'm pretty sure we had no choice in the matter. And I was so terrified. I cried.
You probably were the only one who was showing your fear, maybe.
Yeah, and one of the teachers, I think she was like the resource teacher or something, she had to like hold my hand when I went through it. And I didn't want to do it, and they made me go through it. And then at one point, one of the scare actors reached out from under the table and grabbed my ankle as I'm already crying, a child. Yeah, and then I like burst out in tears more. And then the actor was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," because they're not supposed to touch you.
No, it's funny because the more you react, the more they come after you too.
Yes.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yes, and then I've never been in a haunted house since. Oh, you know what? That is a slight lie because we went to Upper Clemens Park. If you think it's a real theme park, you are sorely mistaken. It's like
Nova Scotia's version.
Yeah, it's like our version
of
a theme park.
Kind of.
Yeah, it's sad. It's pretty sad. But there was a haunted house, and a couple years we went, it was always closed. And then one year it was open. So we were like, let's do this haunted house. And I was terrified. And this was like, I don't know, maybe like 5 years ago. So I was an adult. And it was just this girl in there, and we showed our little bracelets, and she was like, okay, you just like go up here. And she took us into like the second floor of this house. And then she just turned all the lights off, and it was just like her in there.
What?
She was just like hitting her fists on the walls, and
Really?
she clearly knew the layout. Like the way they had it is like, it wasn't like a big open room. Like you were kind of following a wall, but it was pitch black. They had all the windows covered over, and she turned the light off. So she knew the layout. So every once in a while she would kind of be standing in front of us and just be like, blah, and like yell at us. And then she would just like bang on the wall every few minutes. Yeah, it was just her.
So she just followed you around.
Yes, literally. And then you get to one point where you walk by rooms, and there's like creepy displays set up in it. Like I think one looked like, I don't know, like a weird little torture room, and one looked like a medical lab. And so you could see a little better then because those were lit up. And then she like kind of came out, and she was like talking to us, and she's like, so like, where are you guys from?
Oh my gosh.
And it was just, it didn't count as a haunted house. But was I a little creeped out still in the pitch black?
Well,
yes, I was.
I mean, I feel like anybody would be, and you don't really know what to expect. You didn't know it was going to be just her the whole time.
No, I was holding hands with a friend in front of me and a friend behind me. It was good times.
Probably why that place is not open anymore.
Yeah, it was the
or
lamest
one of the many
thing ever.
reasons.
Yeah.
I went to a haunted house a couple of weeks ago, and I gotta say, out of all the haunted houses I've ever been into in my whole life, this was the scariest haunted house I've ever been in.
Was it that Fear Farm place?
Yeah, it was what was it called? I want to shout them out because it was really good.
River Breeze?
No, it wasn't the Fear Farm. It was Phantom's Freak Show in Kentville. Oh my gosh. So they had a sign on the door. It was like 75 volunteers and thousands of hours worth of preparation, thousands of dollars worth of props. And all of their, I don't know if it was all of their proceeds, but most of their proceeds went to the IWK, which is a children's hospital here. Oh my gosh, Nikki, it was seriously like the whole time I was in line with my friend, and I was like, you know, my brain is too logical for stuff like this. I know they're actors. I know. Like, I've never really been scared. I've been the friend who holds my friend's hands going through haunted houses because it doesn't scare me. Like the jump scares are kind of like, oh, I didn't see you there. Haha. But like, I just brush it off and that's it. This haunted house scared me to my core.
Really?
I've never felt that way from a haunted house before in my life. These guys did such a fantastic job. There was like, I won't spoil it because they do it every year. So if you do want to go, I highly recommend it. But like, they had like a clown coming after you with clappers but like out of nowhere. So he sneaks up on you like quietly. You don't hear him coming until he's right behind you. And then something's happening in front of you that's like a jump scare. And then he's behind you at the same time doing the clapper thing. And like, you obviously feel like you can't go forward and you can't go backwards. It's just like trying to go through the whole thing. Oh my gosh. The whole time is just so freaky. Although there was one spot where we got to, we were running because we were running away from it was a clown. We were running away from him, and I got to the end of the hallway, and where my foot landed, I felt something go across my ankle, and I looked down, and it was like it looked like twine or branches or something like that, but it was going across the whole hallway. And I was like, this is so dangerous. What if I just kept running and I hit this with my, not landed where I actually did.
Yeah.
And tripped over it. Like, this was actually like a bit of a liability issue. Anyway, I told my friend that it was there, and then we walked over it. As soon as we got there, we went into this room, and I saw like the layout of everything, and then all the lights went off, and I'm like, oh shit. Okay, so I just kind of like creepily went around the table. There was like a table in there, you had to go all the way around it, and then I saw like out of the corner of my eye something shimmering. There wasn't any light, but there was like, you could still see like lights coming from the other rooms and stuff.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of shimmering and movement in the corner. And I'm like, oh my God, run, Tammy, run. I can't count the amount of walls I ran into when I was in there. Oh my gosh. It was one of the scariest experiences of my life. I think there were like 9 rooms. Oh, and there was a point where we got to I thought it was the end.
Yeah.
So you run out the back and you're outside. And I remember hearing the guy at the front door was like, yeah, you'll go through the haunted house, and then at the very end, you'll go outside and you'll have some candy. There's a little bucket with candy in it, and then you can go just walk through the rest of the way back inside to get out to the front, and then you're done.
Yeah.
I thought that was the end. I get outside and I'm like, there was somebody dressed up in like, I don't remember, like farmer outfit or something. And they were like, you want some candy? And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I'm like, I probably can't eat any of it anyway. But I was like walking over to talk to them. And Tammy was like, no, I don't need candy. And she went over to the door. She turned around. She's like, oh my God, Megan, run. I turn around and this guy is behind me all decked out like he looked like a dead zombie coming at me with a knife in his hand, and he was right behind me, and I'm like screw the candy, I don't need the candy. And I ran, like we bolted it back in. And then when we went back in, it wasn't done. There was still more. There was a girl there who was dressed as like I don't know, she was like a little clown girl, but she was holding a knife as well. And then, or was it a knife, or it was like a mallet or something? And then,
oh my God,
this
is horrifying.
This isn't even everything. Like, there's so many things. I said I wasn't going to spoil it. They said they kind of they do different acts every year where they try to change it up a little bit. But we ran back in, and there was like a long hallway to the end. And she just sat there, like the lights started flashing. They made like thunder sounds, and she just starts banging the mallet along. There was like a tarp hanging on the wall, and she just bangs it as hard as she could, running after us down the hallway, and we just bolted it. I got back to the car, and I was like, I need to check my Fitbit app because I need to know what my heart rate.
How high was your heart rate?
It went up to 115 beats per minute.
Oh my God.
I was like, okay, that was a pretty good workout. I guess it was so scary. Oh, I can't remember being that scared ever at any haunted house I've ever been in. Like, that gave me real, true, freaky core vibes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, highly.
See, I love hearing about that. I'm like, that's so cool. I love that for you.
Yeah, for you.
And I find it very interesting. Yeah. So I watched, there's this documentary that my husband is really obsessed with, and we have to watch it every single year, and he'll watch it several times. But I've seen it so many times, I can only watch it once a year. It's called The American Scream. Oh. And it follows people that do like home haunts, like that build haunted houses at their home and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And it's so fascinating, just all the work that goes into that stuff, and like how passionate people are about setting up these haunts and stuff. Oh, I
have a coworker that I work with who is literally building a haunted house. I say house in quotations because it's outside in his backyard.
Yeah.
But like, he's building 3 separate rooms with 3 separate attractions from scratch. So like, he's building with wood. He's built the frames, and he's putting up the walls, and he's putting tarps over it, and to give it that extra freaky sound, like you have tarps blowing in the wind kind of thing. And each room is going to have its own scary attraction. This is for his kids who are super young, and I'm like, you're going to scare the pants off your kids.
Yeah. My husband and I were talking about how we would love to do that at our house.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because the way, I mean, not this year obviously, but
It's
like
in,
you've seen
like,
the way
3
our
days.
house is. Yeah. The way our house set up, it works out kind of well because we have like a pretty big backyard.
Your
It
backyard
goes very
is
deep.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's like, you can get to it from the side of the house. There's a gate with like a gate door, like
I
a
didn't know
chain
that.
link door kind of thing. Yeah. So we're like, this would literally be perfect because people wouldn't have to go through the house or anything. Like,
Right.
people could go along the side of the house to go through the gate there to get into it.
Ooh, that's such a good idea.
Right? That's future goals.
And
Right
I
now, I'm
feel like
still
you
trying to buy the
have-
damn 12-foot skeleton.
Oh, yeah. First thing first. I feel like your backyard is really good, like twisty turny too.
It is.
So, like, you
There's a
have
bunch of
really
big
good-
trees and stuff.
Yes.
And yeah.
Lots of fun corners where you can't see what's coming next.
Yeah. Right. So that
All right,
was
sorry.
that was our taste of haunted house crimes. There was also a lot of people dying of heart attacks and underlying medical conditions, but that's not really crime, so I didn't include that. But that happens a lot in haunted houses, people being like literally scared to death.
True. There was a few girls that were in front of me. Sorry. There were like 3 girls. They were probably in their, I don't know, mid-teens ish.
Yeah.
And they went in ahead of us. And one girl came out, like, I want to say a couple of minutes even later.
Yeah.
She came out and she was like, I thought she was having like a panic attack. She was sitting
my
on the
God.
bench and having
I
trouble
mean,
breathing.
maybe she was.
Her friends came out after her and they were like talking her through it. I'm assuming they've been through this before. And I was like, oh my, what are we about to walk into?
Yeah, that's not good to see
I'm like,
right before you're
no.
about to go in.
Right? I'm like, oh man, if like teenage girls can't handle it, I probably am gonna have a heart attack in there.
Oh, God. Now it's time to talk about extreme haunts. These are next level haunted house experiences that go way, way, way beyond what a normal person would expect from a haunted house.
I can't even imagine what that would be.
No. So here is the definition of an extreme haunt according to the internet. A physically intense experience born from a haunted house that evokes a given theme through set design, scare actors, costumes, and messiness, often with a focus on enduring or surviving the experience across various intensity levels. The biggest difference that makes a haunted house go from normal to extreme is the fact that the actors can touch the patrons, get them dirty, and even separate them from their group. So there's also another category of extreme haunts called extreme immersive horror. That is described as a cinematic, theatrical, and physically or psychologically intense experience that actively engages the participants through interactions, evocative themes, and or strong narratives. They use their physicality or psychological horror to enhance the fear and add consequence to choices. The goal of an extreme experience is to generate extreme emotional responses in the audience. These goals can be reached by any means, including narrative, psychological moments, and physical pain.
What?
Yes.
Physical pain?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I would not have expected that.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Extreme experiences are for those who are looking for a challenge or who are interested in testing the limits of their own physicality.
You know what I'm interested in?
What?
Not doing that, but watching it. I think that would be very interesting to watch.
Okay, I'll have some watching homework for you.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you watch some in your research?
Well, there's documentaries and stuff.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's see.
Extreme experiences can feel very much like actually living through a traumatic experience.
Dear Lord, why would anybody want that?
You are right with me because the more, and like I've watched documentaries on this before, which made me want to do this story today. But then obviously I did more research to do this story. And the more I learned, the more I was like, what is happening? I don't understand.
It's beyond my what is it? Comprehension.
Yes, it is. So people from around the world flock to these extreme haunts, and some even have huge waiting lists that sell out every year.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow. I've never even heard of these before.
Oh my goodness. I'm really excited because one of the ones, okay, so I'm going to describe some of the wildest ones that I could find. And I'm definitely saving the most intense one for last. And a lot of people have already heard of it. If anyone has watched the documentary Haunters, The Art of Scare, you'll know what one I'm saving for last because it's gotten quite famous because of how wild it is.
Okay. Well, I haven't seen it, so it'll be a surprise to me.
Oh. So the first one we're going to talk about is called Blackout, and it's in New York. If you've ever wondered what it would be like to be taken against your will, or how long it would take for you to lose your mind while sitting alone in the dark with a bag over your head, then Blackout is just the thing for you.
I guess it's not really the same thing at all, actually, but there's some of those resorts down south, they have like blackout dinner.
Oh yeah,
so that all your other
because they increase your senses.
Heightened.
Yeah. No, this is very different.
I bet.
But yes, same kind of deal. They try and deprive you of senses to make stuff more intense.
Mm-hmm.
So participants in Blackout are dehumanized as they run and crawl through a wasteland of terror, populated with people who've been instructed to do whatever they can to break someone's spirit. So like we talked before, like
spirit?
Yeah, most normal haunted houses, like the everyday person haunted house, there's no touch rules.
Right.
Where actors can't touch participants.
Although the last haunted house I went to, they didn't touch me. But there was a room where there was a bunch of them and they closed in on me to a point where I couldn't move without bumping into each of them before I was able to finally push. Like I literally had to push them out of my way to keep running into the
I guess that's
next room.
Yeah.
They weren't touching me, like they didn't grab me or anything, but they were like closing in on me where I couldn't move without touching them, I guess.
Yeah.
A little bit different maybe.
Yeah. So with all of these extreme experiences, there's a lot of touching and not good touching.
I don't like it already.
No. One of the things that this particular haunt does that other extreme ones don't, and I think that this is awful, but they subject their patrons to what they refer to as simulated sexual assault.
Oh my God. What?
Yes.
Simulated sexual assault.
So pretty much the experience of you think you're going to be assaulted without the actual physical assault, but everything I'm not going to go into detail.
I know, but wow, okay.
But everything up until the actual assault itself, but they give you the experience like it's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
And they put it right in their waiver, and they let people know, like, yep, that's something that'll happen to you here.
Yes, I would like to sign this document and please sexually assault me.
Like, what? Yeah.
I take that back. Don't quote me on that.
Like the name suggests, you spend a lot of time in pitch black. You're gagged a lot. Sometimes your head is covered in hoods or in plastic bags. You suffer a lot of deprivation of senses, like the darkness or noise-canceling headphones.
Or air, if they are putting a freaking plastic bag over your head. What the frig? Oh my gosh.
I read one account that they were screaming at you to recall numbers that you should have seen while in another part, while they were dumping water bottles down your throat.
No.
And like yelling at you, being like, we're not going to stop until you remember these numbers. And the person that was doing the blog was like, I didn't see any numbers. I was just like screaming numbers.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. That's wild. Holy. I can't even begin to imagine that.
No. Every year.
Want this?
I know. Trust. It's going to get worse.
Oh, God.
Every year they change up the haunt, so it differs, which is one reason that people come back. So they have a lot of repeat visitors.
Mm-hmm.
Some people report they were forced to crawl through tubes made of plastic trash bags. They were forced into walls, like very cramped claustrophobic spaces. Blackout's creators have spoken at length about how they want to set their experience apart from other horror attractions by immersing people in a version of real danger rather than, heavily fabricated scenarios like a normal haunted house. So one of them said, we wanted to strive for something more realistic, you can rationalize away other scares. Vampires don't exist. So like what you said, how you're a rational person, so that stuff doesn't scare you. That's
Normally.
why, yeah. So they are doing this. So it's not like a spooky scary. It's like a your life is in danger kind of scary.
Yeah, that's totally different. And you don't know. Oh, God, has there actually been any deaths at any of these things? I feel like the
surprisingly,
risk is so high.
no.
Wow.
Not that I could find.
They must do everything in their power to make sure that it only goes that far without actually killing somebody. Like if
you
you're
just wait.
throwing water down somebody's throat, like there's a very high chance they're gonna choke or drown or something.
Yeah. In most of these haunted houses, the extreme ones or normal ones, there's some sort of ending where you feel like you finished the experience. You know, you see that light, or you have an exit, or, you know, you have a moment to like decompress and be like, I finished it. But not at Blackout. They purposely do it this way so that the whole experience is just constant motion until you're eventually just shoved out onto a busy street, and that's it. Like at one point you're just shoved out a door and you're all of a sudden on a busy street, and that's it. You're done.
What?
Yeah.
What a jar to the system.
And a lot of people said that. They were like, as awful as everything was, like one of the worst parts was just being shoved, like having all of this stuff happen, and then all of a sudden you're just alone on a busy street at nighttime.
Yeah.
And you have to like just deal with everything that happened to you. The next one, I saw a video clip of some stuff, and literally in the first 5 seconds, I was like, nope, never in a million years. It is a place called Castle Chaos in Utah. And the extreme part is what they call their crucible experience. It is actually an overnight extreme haunt. So you go from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. They have a normal haunted house, and there are different levels of scare that escalate up to level 5 being the scariest. So Crucible is their level 5. And then when you sign up for it, you can also, when you're in Crucible, they give you a chance to up your extreme level in there as well, up to a level 10.
Wow.
Yeah, very few people do. I read through an account of one person that did the experience. You apparently do it in a group of 9, and it could be 9 strangers too. Like it doesn't have to be people you know. They just get 9 people. Mm-hmm. And it starts with a horror escape room. And they said it was really hard to concentrate on completing the escape room because periodically actors that were meant to be serial killers would come in, grab one of them, throw a hood over them, and literally just drag them out of the room.
Oh my gosh.
They then took them to different torture rooms, and there was a ton of different ones, so everybody could end up in a different kind of torture room where there was physical violence, psychological torture. They would, you know, physically do stuff to you. They would make you eat gross stuff.
Is this legal? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you sign a waiver.
I just don't know. Like, this is literal abuse.
Yeah. People pay for it.
Wow.
Yeah, they cover you in bugs.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Once you finish the escape room with this one, you're hooded and dragged to a dark basement-like room with concrete floors where they basically just leave you to sit and wait for tormentors to come throughout the night and take you away to be tortured. So the article, and they'll do it periodically. So they'll come and they'll grab somebody and they'll take them away and torture them and then bring them back and drop them on the floor and get somebody else. So the article said you're often left shivering, wet, cold, smelly in between your torture sessions. Or you could be shoved in small dog kennel cages with bags over your head to wait to be tortured again. This haunt was hard to find out what happened because I think in the waiver you sign for this one, there's an NDA of not revealing what really happens.
Right.
In the YouTube videos they posted, though, I saw there were some clips and I saw them, like people were strapped to chairs and they were using drills and power tools by their faces.
What the frig?
They were pulling at their teeth with pliers.
Gosh.
And they had dentist tools in their mouth. One guy said they shaved a little part of his head. Someone was hanging by chains with their feet just kind of like barely touching the floor. and it showed some people locked in coffins.
I'm sorry, I just can't.
This wasn't the haunted house you went to, Megan?
Well, I'll be honest, I wasn't even expecting the extreme haunting house one to be like this. Like, I was not expecting this at all.
Oh, and remember, I'm saving the wildest for
I
last.
I can't even begin to imagine. I couldn't even imagine these ones.
Yeah. One of the videos has two friends going into it, and in it they're doing like these pre-interviews, and they're like so pumped up, and they're just like, yeah, like I'm gonna do it. And then one of the guys made it all the way through, but he's talking, and he apparently just travels around and goes to all these extreme haunts. So like, I don't know what's loose in his head, but
oh my soul, I can't.
No, the other guy, he only made it just over 7 hours. So all these extreme haunts, they have a safe word, and if you say it, they'll just stop, and then you're done.
Okay. And they shove you into the street.
Yeah. So one of the guys only made it 7 hours, and like, it's so funny because the video is like, at the first, he made it 7 hours.
7 hours?
Yeah, because this one goes 11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
I thought you meant that was like the times that they were open, not the amount of time you would stay in there.
No, that's the time you get tortured.
Oh, that's why. That's the whole psychological part of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so you don't get to sleep all night either.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So in the video, he's like so like peppy beforehand. And then it just like flash cuts to all these like quick scenes. That's where I saw all the stuff of like the drills and like the pliers and like stuff, bags over your head and cages covered in like fake blood and stuff. And then it just flips to a video of him clearly after he had like tapped out, and he's just wrapped in a blanket and like clearly traumatized, like 1,000-mile stare, and just like shaking and like kind of like rocking a little bit, staring off into nothing. And he just kept saying like, I expected a haunted house. I didn't think it would be that bad.
He didn't know what he was getting into?
He signed the waiver, and the waiver says everything.
Oh, so obviously he didn't read it.
No. Seeing this kid, I'm like, oh my God, he's broken. Like, as a human, he looks like he has PTSD.
Every single person who does one of these must have a scheduled therapist appointment the day after. My God. You'd have to. I can't even begin to imagine why anyone would put themselves through that.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Yeah. And do you have like flashbacks sometimes, or have any PTSD from that experience?
Some people did. Especially this last one I'm about to go through. And it was I also read a lot of posts that a lot of the actors that are doing the torturing, they said that they get really messed up from doing these awful things to people like every single night.
Wow. And
they're complaining about it. And I'm like, then why are you doing it? So now it's time for the wildest one of these.
I'm ready.
Yeah. This one has been in the media a lot in the last few years, so a lot of people might know it. If you don't, I recommend checking out that documentary I mentioned before, or this one actually has a YouTube page, and everyone that does an experience here, they get like a video made of their experience, and it's posted on their YouTube for people to watch. It is not for the faint of heart to watch, just so you know, and like, don't watch it with kids around, or like not safe for work.
Okay.
Yes.
Were you able to watch it?
Yes, because I saw the documentary, so like I knew. And by not safe for work, I just mean like it's very graphic what's happening to people.
No, I meant because of how scared you are of everything.
Oh, yes, I was fine.
Okay.
Yes, I feel like my true crime brain is like different from my scared of everything brain.
Right.
So for some reason, if it's true crime, I'm not scared of it. I don't know why.
Okay.
That makes no sense.
That's interesting.
Yeah. A lot of other extreme haunts and immersive experiences actually kind of like, they shun this one. They don't condone it. They don't condone what it does. They consider it too extreme.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
After what you just read, I cannot even begin to imagine what might be included in this one.
Yeah. So other ones don't want to be lumped in with this place.
Wow. Okay.
The number one thing that a lot of them would say sets this one apart is that in other extreme experiences, there is a safe word you can say, and the actors will immediately stop, and you're done. They'll take you out of the experience.
Right.
This one, there is no safe word. So once it starts, there's no going back. They won't let you stop.
Really?
Yes, it does not matter how much you cry and how much you beg. And there's videos of people crying and begging, and they won't stop.
But everybody made it out safe, right?
Technically. I mean, everyone made it out alive.
Technically.
Well, everyone made it alive. I don't know if safe is the right word.
Well, I mean, probably safe if they made it out alive. But
Yeah.
healthy or sound of mind or
Traumatized. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did see some sites that said he started using a safe word, but then there was lots of blogs that say he won't listen to it. Like, you'll say the safe word and they'll just basically not stop. Like, they'll keep going. They won't accept your safe word until like they're at the point where they think you might die, and then they'll stop.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Can't have that liability, I guess.
No. So this is the McCamey Manor. It was originally in California, but now I believe it is located in Tennessee. This is a homebrew extreme experience made by a guy named Russ McCamey, who spent 23 years in the Navy. The show, as he calls it, used to be, I think, 10 hours long. But I actually read a recent 2020 article, and he says it's down to 6 hours because no one has ever been able to fully last the 10 hours before they had to stop.
I wonder why he made it 10 hours to begin with. Did he like it to be 10 hours?
Yes. This is all his doing. This is just all this one guy.
Does he do everything in it?
No, he
has actors.
He has volunteers. Well. Yes.
Okay.
And a lot of the things said that, like, he'll hire people with like felony backgrounds and stuff. Like,
what?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I was
not
on
safe.
Reddit.
Oh, of course.
A 2015 article said there was a wait list of 27,000 people that wanted to do this experience.
27,000 people?
Yes.
Holy, that's wild.
Yeah, because so many people want to do it, but he only does it on the weekend, and he only takes a couple people every weekend. So if you want to experience it, you will have to undergo a background check, submit to a screening interview via Skype with Russ, supply a letter from a doctor stating that you're capable of participating, pass a physical test, and provide proof of medical insurance.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Does that medical insurance also include like having access to a therapist?
You would think that with how popular this is, that Russ is in it for the money, but nope. It's a nonprofit operation. The actors aren't paid. The price of admission is just some dog food, which he donates. He loves dogs.
He must enjoy doing this to people. That's
if
where
you
he
watch
gets his kicks.
The documentary, it's like, ugh. Like
okay.
You can tell how much he enjoys this.
Yeah.
And it's major creep factor.
Yikes.
So while all these experiences are happening, he attends them all, and he has a little handheld camera, and he films it all and watches it as it's happening, and he's very into it. Like, he's very like, oh, like he's like talking to them, and like, I don't know. It's just it's not good.
Getting his kicks out of it.
He is. Yes.
Knocking his socks off.
Yeah.
Gross.
In order to do the experience, you have to sign a 40-page waiver that you have to read out loud to him to be sure that, so you like, it takes a long time. Like, you're there for like an hour reading the waiver out loud because he doesn't want people to just like sign it and be like, yep, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And then they'll come after him later. So he will take recording of you reading it out loud that you agree to all this stuff.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh, that is some serious liability right there. Holy. Wow.
So you're given a location for when your thing is. You show up there, and then a van will pull up. They'll, duct tape you, tie you up, put a bag over your head, throw you in the back of the van, and kidnap you to take you to the haunt.
Wow.
During the pre-selection process and the interviews, the McCamey Manor organizers find out what your biggest fears are, and then they exploit the heck out of them and make sure those things are included in your experience.
Okay. So your experience starts by being kidnapped?
Yes.
So you don't even know if that's like legitimately
what's
happening. Like, they don't say in the vehicle, we're from this manor. And
no.
We're gonna...
No.
Oh, that's so crazy.
They violently kidnap you.
Okay.
Yeah. So they'll make sure, like, if you say you're scared of clowns, they'll make sure that the tormentors are dressed as clowns. Or if you say, you know,
Oof.
I'm scared of drowning, they'll make sure that you get waterboarded while you're there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So here's a list of some things that could happen here.
Okay.
And this is like, the waiver's 40 pages, so it lists a lot of things, but these were just kind of some things that I was like, this is wild. And remembering there's no safe word to stop.
Right.
Yes. So, and also remember every other like violent thing I mentioned in the other houses, that's all included in this one as well. So this is all stuff above and beyond that.
Oh, okay.
So they can shave off all of your hair completely down to the scalp.
Oh.
They've broken fingers. You could have your fingers put in a mouse trap.
Ouch.
Duct tape wrapped around your head and eyes and ripped off. You will be waterboarded. I saw in one of the documentaries they put people in water laying down and then would put a cage over you so you can't get up and you're just in water. Like you can barely just kind of stick your mouth out of the water.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And it's always cold, dirty water. Like it'll be filled with
Ew.
fake blood, or I don't know what they put in it, black stuff. So it looks like sludge. Like it's not clean water.
Yeah.
And it's ice cold water. You might have to walk a plank that puts you 7 meters above the ground without a safety net.
Whoa.
I feel like if you said you were afraid of heights, you would probably get that one.
100%.
People have had their heads put in boxes filled with live bees. They had raw sewage poured on their body. They are almost always force-fed rotten food.
Now, if you said you were like deathly allergic to bees, would they omit that?
I believe so.
Okay.
They might not let you do the experience though. Because that's the whole
Maybe.
thing is you have to do these interviews.
That's true. Fair
yeah.
enough.
And they have such a wait list that
Yeah.
it doesn't matter to them.
Well, considering he has to go through such a lengthy process to get the wait list sent through.
Yeah. So when you're eating all this rotten food and stuff, if you throw up, they make you eat your own throw up in a never-ending cycle.
My god!
Like they'll scoop it up and shove it in your mouth, and then they do the thing where they put stuff in your mouth and then they hold your mouth closed.
Oh my
like
god!
They put their hand over your mouth, so you have to swallow it.
Oh, it's so gross.
In one, I watched them feed somebody else's frozen throw up. Like they saved the throw up from an experience, froze it, and then gave him it in frozen chunks.
Hearing you talk about it, ew, that's so gross. There's very few things that make me sick to my stomach, but eating your own throw up or someone else's is
someone
really
else's throw up.
one of the things that turns my stomach. Oh, gross.
They will lock you in a coffin with cockroaches, scorpions, and tarantulas.
Oh, nice.
And one thing I read said that sometimes they are legit poisonous. And so it's in your best interest to stay still so you can't panic. And then they take that coffin and they will bury you 3.6 meters underground.
What if, wait, what if you're actually stung?
I don't know.
They don't like seek medical attention?
I have no idea.
You have to wait till you get out and seek
I don't know.
And then you're buried. Oh my gosh.
Some guests were locked in a tank of water with swarming eels. People have had their teeth pulled.
Out?
Yes, of their mouth.
God. Oh.
And remember, you can't stop. They won't stop.
Well, that's an expensive dental procedure.
Yeah. I watched one video and this girl was like on the ground and they had like a big thick rope around her neck and they would be behind her just like yanking her across the floor with it. Yeah. And her like hands and legs were tied up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You could just break her windpipe or neck or something.
Yes. And like if you watch the videos, these actors are very physically aggressive. So like they're just constantly like grabbing their faces and like shoving their heads into things. And like if you try and like turn your head from something, they'll just grab your face and like, or they'll slap your face. Like it's insane. So many people came out with bruises and cuts and scratches and just like beat up from people just like putting their hands on them.
I feel like actor is too light of a word for these people.
I know. Tormentors.
Right.
Yeah.
Literally, like
Yeah.
legit.
A lot of people say they end up with really severe cuts on the inside of their cheek because the actors will like fish hook them constantly.
Oh.
So their nails are scraping the skin off their cheek.
Ugh.
And it's in their waiver. Like that's a thing. Like you will be fish hooked.
Oh my God. Ugh.
Yeah.
People's fingers in my mouth. Gross.
Well, yeah, I know. And it's filthy
That
in there.
alone
Like it's
is gross.
disgusting in there. Yeah.
God, you need to get tons of shots before and after you
Oh,
go there.
yes. One guy was tortured so badly he passed out multiple times, and the actors only stopped because they thought they killed him. So that's like the only way to get out of there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like
What
if you
happens
pass
to
out, they'll
people
slap
who-
you awake, and then they'll keep going.
What if they did have people die and they just like keep it quiet?
I mean, I feel like it would get out there.
Maybe.
Yeah. That's the list of stuff I compiled, but oh boy, the list goes on. Like you have to see the videos of this place.
I really
To
want
believe
to.
it.
You need to send me the link because
I will. I will. Yeah. And just, I don't know, the Russell guy, like just the way he films everything and he calls it like a show. And I don't know. It's
Oh
just,
my gosh. Yeah, send me tomorrow.
awful.
I want to watch them tomorrow because tomorrow night I don't have plans, but I do on Saturday. So I want to watch it before Halloween.
Yes.
Ugh, that's so creepy.
Yeah. So that's the wildest extreme.
And do they only
haunt
do it around
experience.
Halloween, I wonder? Or is this like
I
an all
think
year round?
he does it all year round now because the wait list was just so wild.
That is just out of this world. Otherworldly, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah. So everybody enjoy this conclusion to spooky season with some real awful haunted house, non-haunted house things. I feel like you're not even a haunted house anymore. Like
no,
it's like
that's
a whole
not,
other thing.
That is actually just
it's just
like
a torture
paying
chamber.
for torture. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And a little bit beyond.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Whatever the oh my God, I lost my words. Whatever the word is for in between torture and death.
Yeah. It's there.
There's got to be a new word for that.
Yeah.
Wow. That's wild. Okay. Well, thanks, Nikki, for that. I am not going to sleep tonight now.
You're welcome. Now you'll think twice about going to haunted houses again.
Well, I don't know about that.
Unless I make one in my backyard and then come do it.
Oh, obviously I would go to your backyard haunted house, of course. I feel like what is it? Phantasm. What do I call it? I keep
Freak
forgetting.
show?
Yeah, the freak show. Phantom's Freak Show. I'm probably going to go to that one every year now because that one just like blew me away. And it was one of our friends' friend who did it. They commented on my posts on Facebook.
Oh, cool.
They're like, I'll let them know the feedback. They'll really love to hear that. I'm like, do that. They have a new customer that's going to go every year. It's so good. Okay. So I guess we're back to rolling then, aren't we?
We are. We're back to themes. I feel like it's been a million years since we had a theme.
It really does feel like it's been a long time since we've had a theme. And I get to roll.
Everyone needs to let us know if they liked this themeless spooky season.
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
Because we'd love to do it more for sure. I guess I'm going to roll, and this is a new die. I pulled it out of a package I hadn't even opened yet.
So you haven't got your stank on it yet.
That's right. Well, I'm holding it right now, so there's my stank right there. So we'll see how it goes. All right, here we go. Ooh, 16.
Nice.
Ah, that's a good start.
That's a good die. Bring that die to D&D.
Yeah, exactly. All right. My category for next week is mother-daughter duo.
Ooh.
Interesting. That could be an interesting one. That could go many different ways, I think.
That'll be a good one.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. This was a lot of fun, Nikki. Thank you very much for the wonderful end of our spooky season. It was a lot of fun. So if you want to follow us on social media, you can find us at The Grimdark Diaries. We are on Instagram and Facebook. We are also on Twitter at Grimdark Diaries without the. Yes, that makes sense. Yep. If you want to send us an email, maybe send us some of your spooky tales. We'd love to hear them. You can send those to our email, which is thegrimdarkdiaries@gmail.com. And if you are, obviously you're listening to us on some sort of podcast platform. If you would like to go ahead and do whatever that podcast allows you to do on our page, that'd be great. You can subscribe, you can give us a like, you can give us a rating, a 5-star. You can leave us a comment, whatever that podcast platform will allow you to do. That would be so much. That would be so grateful. We would be so grateful if you did that, because that would really help get our name out there. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us again. Join us next week to see what I come up with for Mother-Daughter Duo. And remember, a friend in the dark beats alone in the light.